walk outside and I see typography everywhere. New York City is a city of signs. Sometimes things written by hands, mismatched, hung up in some peculiar way. And you think, oh my God, can I get up there and please readjust that sign? That's just absolutely awful. The way numbers are on doors. No two the same down the block. All messages are different, and they're everywhere. Typography is painting with words. That's my biggest high. It's my crack.
Paula Scher is the goddess of graphic design. Her stuff is everywhere.
Paula's been able to come up with more ways to make type talk than anyone else, and to create a distinctive body of work just with letters.
When I go to work every day, I feel like I'm navigating myself through a maze. Hey.
How are you?
Look at this, a real type book. Oh, can you bring this to Courtney? Yeah. I sit nose to nose with my partners. My team is on the 4th floor. I have to run up and down steps to see them. I actually like this. I think you should move them lower. It's very quick-paced. You're really seeing something that looks like this. I'm solving things on scraps of paper. The F is starting something, getting interrupted. Yeah. The interruption is great. I like the way the icons also interrelate with the thing. Pentagram is a design cooperative. There's the benefit of a large firm, but everybody gets to act like they're an individual. There's no boss, just friends.
Pentagram's a super group of the most famous designers in the world doing the best work in the world. It's like an all-star team, and Paula is the indispensable player on that team.
That one's my favorite so far.
We all have our own individual style, individual way of working.
I could never walk into an office and sit down at my desk to design. I would accomplish nothing. I can sit down at my desk to read my email. You go through your junk mail, a lot of crap, and you throw it all out and you make a little order on your desk. And then you go, oh my God, how am I going to solve this problem? Then you walk up the stairs, go into the ladies' room, put on your lipstick and figure it out. Oh, I love it like that. It's very slurpy, you know?
Slurpy, yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I like that.
Ideas can be triggered by working with my team. Maybe an optical illusion. I see more than I would see if I was just doing it all by myself. It's fantastic. Yeah, I think that you have to make girls and boys the same weight, with the exception of the, pointy things, and then figure out how the other type intersects, and then we got to figure out color. Okay. We're working on the summer festival posters for the public theater. They put on free Shakespeare in Central Park every summer. So, like here, it says Taming of the Shrew inside the wrap. You don't have to do that work with the whole name. You're just putting this in some kind of lozenge shape. I think it would be cool.
Yeah, it looks really fun.
So, give it a shot. I've been designing for the public theater since 1994. My first project was creating an identity for the theater. When they hired me, they had a name issue.
One of the things at the time that was very challenging about the public theater, it had these multiple identities. It was the public theater. And then some people called it the Joseph Papp Public Theater. And then there was Shakespeare in Central Park. I wanted everything to feel like it was of one, that it was breathing fully as an institution.
It had to be populous. I knew it had to be New Yorkish, meaning it had to be loud and proud. I was flipping through one of my favorite books, American Wood Type. I like American Wood Type because it's powerful and it has many forms. On this particular page were these R's, and they go back to the skinniest form or to the widest form. And I realized I could make the word public in the same kind of weights, and it would symbolize all of New York. Every type of weight was included. You can create an identity for a whole place based on a recognizability of type.
Paul's work pulled people in. You instantly knew the public. It's a language that could be dissected, taken apart, put back together. That's one of the things that I think is really thrilling about it.
Typography can create immense power. You're working with things that create character. You're working with weight. You're working with height. If you take an E and the middle bar is the same length as the ends of the E's, it feels different than if the little bar is half the length of the E's. If you lift the little bar up higher, it will make the typeface look like it was drawn in the 1930s. The same thing as if you drop the middle bar lower. It will look modern. If a font is heavy and bold, it may give you a feeling of immediacy. If a font is thin and has a serif form, it may feel classical. So that before you even read it, you have sensibility and spirit. And that if you combine that with a meaning, then that's spectacular. When I did the Highline logo, the goal was to make it look more like a railroad track than an H. If you take the kind of weight that might make the line for a railroad track and you put two horizontal bars across it, it begins to look fairly industrial. It totally changes the spirit without having to create any kind of illustrative narrative. I used to paint my fonts by hand when I was a young designer, and I really miss it. When we became fully computerized in the late 90s, I didn't touch anything and I didn't use my hands. In the past, I cut things up, I ripped things, I pasted things. I touched art supplies. That physical loss was huge for me, and that's why I started painting. Uh-oh, that's Utah. I deliberately began painting the maps because they would take me a long time to accomplish in some very rote way, and that's actually everything that went away. These dotted lines are the distances between two given points, and the background is the zip codes. It's not factual, it's emotional. Like Wyoming doesn't have very many people in it, but you feel it instead of know it. I'm not making something designed to answer questions. It's more designed to raise them. This painting is counties and zip codes. Why do some little states have 1 million counties and some big states have very few? This one is a demographic map. Average age of people, racial and ethnic breakdowns. To actually have any sense of it, you have to actually sit and read it. But the information is equivalently complicated and ridiculous. I used to make complicated, nonsensical charts and diagrams that were satirical. Silly information, fractured information, and I did it to make points. Then I started charting things that were not chartable, mostly denigrating my own physical appearance. I find it funny. Sometimes they're pithy and more meaningful, like all my numbers on my credit cards, just to show how many numbers were attached to my name and they're in some computer somewhere. Later, they became political or nonsensical. It ultimately turned into my paintings. Well, that one has a period. Maybe they should have periods.
So, Paula, these paintings, they seem to have a little obsessional quality to them?